Orcas! The deckhand shouted, lifting binoculars.
Oh my God! Hello!
A pod of sleek black and white whales surged forward in tight formation. At first, the crew marveled at the sight, clicking photos, admiring the grace of the sea's wild giants. But the awe quickly turned to dread. The orcas weren't passing by. They were coming straight for the yacht. Without warning, a heavy jolt slammed the rudder. The tiller shuddered violently. One sailor was thrown against the railing, nearly losing his footing. Water sprayed up from the stern. The attack had begun. The pods circled tightly, their movements deliberate. Over the next 45 minutes, the orcas rammed the rudder repeatedly, each strike like a hammer smashing through the yacht's spine. The hull vibrated with every blow. Splinters from the rudder's fin stalks scattered across the deck. The vessel groaned. The crew snapped into action. "Slow the engine, start the bilge pumps, call for help," the first mate shouted. Below deck, the engineer strapped himself into position as seawater lapped at his boots. He flipped switches, checked gauges, and kept the pumps running as best he could. The skipper fought to keep the bow into the swell, but the rudder was destroyed. The yacht spun helplessly at the mercy of wind and current. Above, the orcas moved with eerie precision, almost like they were testing, observing. At times they paused, black dorsal fins cutting through the surface like ancient sentinels. Then they rammed again. The yacht groaned under pressure, its once pristine hull streaked with salt and spray. The crew fired flares. Orange light arced into the sky. Then, on the horizon, a rescue vessel appeared. A Spanish Coast Guard cutter had responded. The cutter pulled alongside Gratzy Mama, and lines were thrown. One by one, the sailors scrambled aboard, hauling soaked gear and clinging to each other for balance. No one spoke until the last crew member stepped onto the deck of the cutter, drenched, shaken, but alive. Behind them, the Gratzy Mama II listed slowly in the water. Within the hour, she slipped beneath the surface, vanishing into the deep. All that remained were a few ripples and stunned silence. Marine scientists continue to debate the cause of these mysterious encounters. Some believe the orcas were simply playing, part of a cultural behavior spreading from pod to pan, like dance moves or songs among humans. Ramming rudders may be a form of entertainment or mimicry of tuna hunting techniques. Since 2020, nearly 700 similar interactions have been logged worldwide. Others suggest these attacks are a sign of orcas' advanced intelligence. One whale might discover the thrill of flipping a kayak or dismantling a rudder, and the behavior spreads through the pod. It's not aggression, researchers argue, but exploration, a test of boundaries, a flexing of power. Whatever the reason, the encounters reveal something undeniable. Orcas are learning, adapting, and communicating in ways we are only beginning to understand. Yet amid this display of nature's power, the most important lesson came not from the orcas, but from the crew. They didn't panic. They acted with unity and resolve. The engineer kept the pumps running. The first mate coordinated every move. The deckhand launched the flares. And the skipper never let go of the helm. Together they held on, not just to their yacht, but to each other. Back on land, family and friends greeted the survivors with blankets, hot drinks, and silent hugs. Local sailors brought spare parts and shared quiet promises. When she rises again, we'll help rebuild her. And the crew? They spoke of the whales, not with anger, but with awe. They had witnessed intelligence, mystery, and raw force that rewrote the rules of the open sea. Theirs was no longer just a story of survival. It was a story of gratitude. Gratitude for each other. Gratitude for a second chance. And gratitude for the wild ocean and the guardians that dwell within it. Mystique. On May 25, 2023, 4 sailors set off aboard the 66-foot yacht Mystique, bound for Gibraltar. The skies were calm and spirits were high. The crew, a skipper, a first mate, an engineer, and a deckhand, had spent weeks preparing for the voyage. They stocked fresh supplies, topped off the fuel, and mapped their course through the busy Strait of Gibraltar. As they left the Spanish coast behind, excitement filled the air. They looked forward to the freedom of open water and the thrill of the horizon. Southern Spain's waters are often alive with dolphins chasing boats and seabirds diving for fish. But that warm May morning, the sea was eerily quiet. Only the soft rush of Mystique's wake disturbed the silence. The crew settled into a smooth routine, trimming sails, checking instruments, and swapping sea stories. Then a dark shape broke the glassy surface ahead. At first, it looked like a single dorsal fin. One sailor raised his binoculars. "Orcas," he said quietly, eyes wide. A pod of 5 approached swiftly, moving in tight formation toward the yacht's side. The crew laughed, thinking it was a rare wildlife sighting, perfect for photos. They gently altered course to give the whales space. But these orcas had other plan. Without warning, Mystique shuddered. A loud thud hit the stern. The skipper's cup slid from the table. "What was that?" he muttered, gripping the wheel. The engineer ran in, eyes wide. "Rudder's been hit!" The rudder, the yacht's steering blade, had taken a powerful blow as if the boat had struck a submerged rock. Before they could react, another jolt slammed the hull. One sailor fell, and tools clattered across the deck. The fiberglass groaned under pressure. A small crack appeared near the waterline, and water began seeping in. Panic spread quickly. The orcas weren't passing through. They were targeting the rudder deliberately. Over and over, they rammed it like battering rams going for the yacht's most vulnerable point. Frantic hands grabbed radios and flares. The radio crackled. Then a nearby vessel confirmed receipt. But the attack continued. Each impact felt like a car crash at sea. Desperate, the deckhand tossed a bucket of bait fish into the water, hoping to distract the pod. The whales paused briefly, then ignored the bait. Their focus remained solely on the rudder. At times, they swam off, only to return with more force. The hull crack widened. Water pooled inside the lower cabin. Every minute stretched into a nerve-wracking eternity. The skipper barked out orders, cut the engine, prepare life jackets. The engineer worked frantically to keep the bilge pumps running as water rose to his ankles. The first mate scanned the horizon for rescue. Above, the dark fins reappeared again. Relentless, intelligent, and purposeful. Back on land, the Spanish Maritime Rescue Service launched a fast patrol boat and a helicopter from Cadiz. From above, rescuers spotted the disabled Mystique, now adrift and listing. The engine had been shut off to prevent further damage, but with no rudder, steering was impossible. The yacht bobbed like a wounded creature. Water was rising. The helicopter lowered 2 rescuers. One fast-roped onto the deck to check the crew's condition, while the patrolled boat approached to begin towing operations. "Everyone okay?" the rescuer shouted over the rotor noise. Shaken but unharmed, the crew nodded. They climbed aboard the patrol vessel, leaving Mystique behind. The mast of the yacht dipped gently, like a soldier bowed in retreat. Later, experts weighed in. Why did the orcas attack? Some scientists believe young whales may have been practicing hunting techniques, mistaking boats for large prey, or simply playing rough. Boats mimic the size and shape and sound of fish schools, tempting targets. Others suggest social learning is at play. Orcas share behavior across pods. A tactic started by one group could spread quickly, like a trend. During the 2022 ocean race, sailors reported similar nudging and ramming in the same waters. Still, not all agree. Some researchers argue these incidents may be exploratory behavior, whales testing unknown objects with headbutts. Others propose a more somber view, orcas reacting to stress, noise pollution, or territorial disruption. Whatever the reason, one thing is clear: something is shifting in orca behavior. Amid the chaos, one element stood out: the crew's calm. No one panicked. Every person did their part. The engineer with the pumps, the deckhand with the bait, the skipper with clear radio calls. Their teamwork made survival possible. When Mystique was finally towed back to port, locals lined the quay to welcome the crew. Mechanics dove into repairs. Welders sealed the hull. Friends arrived with coffee, blankets, and warm embraces. Mystique, once a vessel of luxury and freedom, now stood as a symbol of humility and respect. Respect for the sea and for the wild power it holds beneath the surface. Jake Lawson. Jake Lawson thought he understood the orcas he had trained for 15 years, until one turned on him without warning. In front of a cheering crowd, a massive killer whale shattered their bond with a single devastating strike. But what triggered the violent betrayal? And why did no one stop it before it was too late? Lawson had spent over a decade at Ocean World San Diego as the lead trainer for a group of orcas. From his first day at the pool's edge, he shared an unspoken connection with the whales. Guests called him the Whale Whisperer. His calm voice and steady hand gave the impression that man and beast spoke the same language. Each show felt like a choreographed dance of trust. Over the years, Lawson built his reputation on that trust. He knew every whale's habits and moods. He recognized a flick of the tail that meant contentment and the gentle nudges that meant play. Other trainers tried to emulate his techniques, but none matched his quiet confidence. Children waved as he greeted each whale by name. To the park, Lawson's gift was proof that powerful animals could form true friendships with humans. But beneath the applause and smiles, there were warning signs. One orca in particular, Kanak, a massive bull weighing over 12,000 pounds, had shown unusual behavior. During a routine drill, he once hesitated at Lawson's signal. In another session, he slapped his tail so forcefully that water drenched the platform. These were dismissed as quirks, but Lawson felt a chill. Was Kanak testing limits? Trainers had seen Kanak refuse his harness, then lunge forward unexpectedly. On quiet nights, he circled his tank alone, surfacing to stare at the empty trainer's platform. Though concerning, the behavior was brushed off. Whales are just curious, the park's leadership said. Everything's safe. Any concern was met with a smile and a shrug. Then came the day everything changed. On a bright February afternoon, the stadium was packed. Families held cameras, children leaned forward in their seats. Lawson adjusted his wetsuit and climbed the platform, heart steady, ready for the park's anniversary show. One featuring new music and special routines. The sun gleamed on the clear blue pool as the orcas glided in formation.